Betrayal was a family affair. Dad cheated with Mom's assistant, Brooke, then stole her business secrets. Now, he's cutting my college fund unless I keep quiet. Tonight, I'll expose him at the most expensive party in all of Las Vegas. I'm Quinn, 16 years old, and I grew up watching the neon lights of the Strip not as a tourist, but as a battlefield. My parents, Harrison and Charlotte, were titans of the Las Vegas hospitality scene. They didn't sell chips or showgirls. They sold the ultimate experience, luxury hotels and casinos. They were a power couple, or so I thought, until 6 months ago when their empire fractured. Dad, Harrison, managed the behemoth, the Zenith, a towering structure of glass and ego. Mom, Charlotte, ran the Oasis, a smaller boutique hotel she founded herself. She always believed in quality over sheer scale, a belief that made her a formidable, albeit less flashy, competitor to my father. The divorce wasn't just ugly, it was strategically devastating. It was less about who got the house and more about who survived the corporate war. And the trigger? Not some random cocktail waitress, but Brooke. Brooke was Mom's executive assistant. For 3 years, Brooke sat 3 feet from my mother's desk, privy to every late-night strategy session, every financial projection, every vulnerable moment Mom had about keeping the Oasis afloat. Mom treated Brooke like a younger sister, mentoring her, paying for her advanced hospitality courses, and trusting her implicitly with sensitive information. Mom even helped her move apartments when her lease ran out. I remember helping carry boxes. It makes me sick now to think Brooke was probably texting Dad to coordinate their next secret meeting while Mom was downstairs buying us all pizza. The affair wasn't some torrid, passionate accident. It was a calculated exchange. I pieced this together later, but the facts remain. Brooke was sleeping with Dad, Harrison, while simultaneously feeding him information. I found out the classic, horrific way. It was a Saturday morning, and I was supposed to be at a robotics competition, but my younger sister got sick. I came home unannounced. Dad was already gone, claimed he was heading to an early board meeting, but there was a voicemail on the family landline from Brooke that Mom hadn't checked yet. The message wasn't just a flirty mistake. It was concrete evidence. It wasn't, "I love you." It was, "Harrison, I sent you the Q2 revenue projections for the Oasis, just like you asked. It confirms Charlotte's budget is tight. Meet me at the usual table at the Bellagio, 10 o'clock. And don't forget to delete these messages. You know how paranoid Charlotte gets." I didn't need to hear the rest. The combination of sexual betrayal and corporate espionage hit me like a physical blow. Brooke wasn't just breaking up my family. She was actively trying to bankrupt my mother. She was a professional saboteur wrapped in a cashmere scarf. When I finally showed Mom the voicemail, she didn't scream or cry right away. She went silent, the kind of silence that's louder than any shout on the Strip. She was heartbroken not just by Dad, but by the shattering realization that her closest confidant had been systematically stealing from her. The divorce papers were filed within 48 hours, citing irreconcilable differences and egregious financial misconduct. Dad, predictably, tried to smooth it over. He didn't deny the affair, but he absolutely denied the corporate spying. "It was complicated, Quinn," he said, using the same tired line every cheating spouse uses. "Brooke and I just had a real connection. Your mother is overreacting, and frankly, she's an unstable businesswoman." But I knew the truth was much worse than just a complicated connection. The divorce was only the start of the war. Brooke was now installed as Dad's chief strategy officer at the Zenith, using everything she learned from Mom against her. And the Oasis, Mom's dream, was already starting to bleed. Tonight, that bleed becomes a hemorrhage. Harrison and Brooke are throwing the most ostentatious engagement party Vegas has ever seen at the ballroom of the Zenith. It's less a celebration of love and more a victory lap, a public display of Mom's downfall, because the entire industry knows Mom's hotel is barely solvent. The worst part? Dad is demanding I attend, and he has threatened my future if I don't play my part. The Oasis was Mom's heart. It wasn't built on cold calculation like the Zenith, but on passion for true, authentic hospitality. Dad, Harrison, had always scoffed at Mom's boutique vision. Yet it was exactly that vision that had kept her competitive. Now, Harrison, with Brooke's insider knowledge, was systematically choking the life out of it. The war culminated a month ago when a huge contract for a major tech convention, the Vegas Global Summit, went up for bid. Securing that convention meant guaranteed revenue for 5 years, a lifeline for the Oasis. Mom, Charlotte, had poured weeks into crafting her proposal, focusing on personalized service and exclusive packages. We had celebrated when she submitted it, knowing it was her best work. But then, disaster struck. The Zenith, Dad's casino, snatched the contract. It wasn't just that they won. It was how they won. Their proposal mirrored Mom's almost exactly, but with one critical difference. The Zenith offered a razor-thin profit margin that was mathematically impossible for them to maintain unless they cut corners on a massive scale later, or unless they were targeting a massive, long-term market share takeover. Mom had suspected Brooke's involvement, but this was confirmation. Harrison had used the Oasis's unique selling points and projected costs, fed to him by Brooke, to undercut Mom and deliver the fatal blow. They didn't just win, Quinn, Mom had said, staring blankly at the floor of her office. They played chess with my life savings. Brooke knew every weakness in our pitch, every hidden cost. They knew exactly how much to bid to kill us. The Oasis, already reeling from the divorce and the associated legal fees, was now hemorrhaging money. The whispers in Vegas were brutal. Charlotte is done. Harrison cleaned her out. It was a slow, public execution, and Dad was orchestrating it with a chilling smugness. But Brooke and Harrison made one crucial mistake. They got careless. 2 weeks ago, Dad had me run an emergency system update on his personal laptop, the one he rarely let anyone touch, citing proprietary corporate security. While the update was running, I decided to take a deeper look. I was seeking confirmation, maybe some petty satisfaction, but what I found was a smoking gun the size of a billboard. Buried deep in a folder innocuously named Vegas Market Research were a series of encrypted files. I cracked the password. It was Brooke's birthday, sickeningly enough. Inside, I found everything. There were spreadsheets detailing the Oasis's financial vulnerabilities, copies of Mom's original Global Summit bid, and email chains between Harrison and Brooke discussing, in cold clinical detail, how and when to release certain trade secrets to maximize pressure on Charlotte's investors. This wasn't just cheating. This was a premeditated corporate assassination. The files weren't just business data. They were proof that Harrison had used Brooke to destroy Mom professionally as well as personally. And there was more. I found a string of messages discussing the ring for the upcoming engagement. The diamond wasn't purchased from a legitimate dealer. It was a stone that Harrison had been planning to use to pay off a significant debt to an illicit offshore lender. A debt I knew could send him and the Zenith crashing down if exposed. The whole engagement was a facade, a public relations stunt to reassure his dubious partners. My hands were shaking as I copied every single file onto a small, encrypted USB drive. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I knew I couldn't let Dad continue his victory lap. Not when it was built on a foundation of professional and personal ruin. I had the truth, the full, ugly truth, right there on a thumb drive. The discovery hit me with a clarity that silenced the usual teenage confusion. My father wasn't just a flawed man, he was a cynical predator. His demands for my silence weren't about protecting me. They were about protecting his assets and his carefully crafted narrative of success. I looked at the small silver drive in my hand, feeling the weight of the entire Sterling family's future resting on it. I had the power to expose him, but I knew the consequence of that choice would be immense. The showdown wasn't just between Mom and Dad anymore. It was between my own moral compass and the comfortable future Dad was dangling in front of me. I had to choose. silence and security, or chaos and integrity. It only took 2 days for Harrison to realize I knew. I had made the rookie mistake of staying too long on his computer after copying the files. He might be a morally bankrupt predator, but he was a security-conscious executive. He cornered me in the marble lobby of the Zenith, pulling me into a private lounge usually reserved for high-roller meetings. His voice was low, controlled, and far more menacing than if he had yelled, "Let's cut the drama. Quinn, I saw the network logs. You were digging where you shouldn't have been." I didn't flinch. I looked him straight in his calculating eyes. "You didn't just cheat. Dad, you used Brooke to destroy Mom's business. That's not complicated. That's criminal." Harrison leaned back, a chilling, practiced smile spreading across his face. "Criminal? No. It's business. Son, ruthless. Yes. But the minute your mother and I signed those divorce papers, she became a competitor. Brooke provided me with an edge, an aggressive edge. You call it treason. I call it market dominance. You're 16. You need to learn the difference." The way he twisted the narrative, calling corporate espionage market dominance, made my stomach clench. He was trying to groom me, to pull me onto his side of the moral divide. "Brooke was Mom's friend," I insisted, my voice tight. "She trusted her. Sentiment is an expense. Quinn, and in this town, expenses get cut." He tapped his fingers on the glass table. "Now, here's how this is going to go. The engagement party is Saturday. It's vital for Zenith's Q4 funding. I need to show our investors, our board members, and frankly, the entire strip that the Harrison Sterling brand is one of stability, harmony, and legacy. You are a key part of that legacy." He slid a glossy, professionally printed invitation toward me. It was for the engagement ceremony of Harrison Sterling and Brooke Jensen. Below their names, in elegant script, were the words, "Ring bearer, Quinn Sterling." My jaw dropped. "The ring bearer? I'm 16. That's insulting." "No, it's necessary," Harrison corrected smoothly. "It shows everyone that the family is unified. It silences any speculation that my success came at the expense of my children's loyalty. You will stand there, you will smile, and you will be silent about everything you think you know. It's non-negotiable." Then came the true threat, the manipulation that cut deeper than any insult. "I know you want to go to NYU next year, Quinn. They are selective. They are also expensive. The Zenith Scholarship Fund is substantial, but it requires the principal's signature and a recommendation that speaks to your character and loyalty to the family brand. A hostile witness, especially one who threatens to leak misinterpreted corporate documents, does not receive that recommendation. You'll be cut off. Quinn, every dime. No college fund, no car, no housing allowance after 18. The choice was laid bare. My silence and participation in his sickening facade for a guaranteed future at NYU, or integrity in the financial chaos of starting over with nothing. Harrison was demanding my silence not just on the affair, but on the entirety of his unethical empire. "Think about it, son," he concluded, standing up and checking his custom-made watch. "Your mother is going down one way or another. Don't be foolish and sink your own future alongside her." He walked out, leaving me alone with the sickening reality. He wasn't just my father. He was a man who saw his son as a corporate asset, and he was demanding my absolute loyalty to his lies. I looked at the USB drive, still heavy in my pocket. I had the power to expose him. But was I willing to trade my entire future for a moment of justice? The clock was ticking toward Saturday night. The image of Harrison's cold, calculated face kept haunting me. His demand was clear. Play the loyal son, or lose everything. But losing my future was one thing. Watching him destroy Mom's life work was another. I knew I couldn't be silent. Harrison had given me a choice between security and integrity, and for the first time, the choice was easy. I chose integrity, even if it meant fighting a financial giant with nothing but a thumb drive. The first person I had to tell was Mom. Charlotte. She was holed up in her office at the Oasis, trying to secure emergency loans. When I walked in, she looked exhausted, like a fighter who was preparing for the final, losing round. I didn't lead with the affair. She knew that. I led with the documents. Mom, it wasn't just cheating. Brooke fed him your global summit proposal. They used your Q2 projections to crush your bid. It's all on this. I placed the small USB drive on her desk. Charlotte picked it up, her expression slowly changing from weary resignation to cold fury. She clicked through the files, the business side of her mind snapping back into focus. She recognized the dates, the file names, the corporate jargon. The pain of the personal betrayal was suddenly eclipsed by the shock of the calculated professional hit. This is industrial espionage, Quinn. This is a felony, she whispered, her voice tight with suppressed anger. Harrison used his mistress, my employee, to steal my business. And he wants you to smile at their engagement? He threatened to cut off my college fund. I admitted, he wants me to be the ring bearer, proof of family unity for his board. Charlotte looked at me, a flicker of pride mingling with her rage. And what did you say? I said yes to the ring bearer part, but he's not getting my silence. That night, we didn't just talk, we strategized. Charlotte didn't want a messy, dramatic scene at the party. Harrison would simply deny everything, threaten lawsuits, and use his power to bury us. We needed undeniable, legal action. We needed to hit him where it hurt most, his investors and his carefully constructed legitimacy. Charlotte immediately called her lead counsel, a brilliant but discreet corporate lawyer named Mr. Elias Vance. We met him the next afternoon at a small diner outside the city limits. Vegas was full of Harrison's spies. Mr. Vance reviewed the digital evidence. His eyes widened as he scrolled through the encrypted emails. This isn't just enough to void the divorce agreement's financial clauses. Charlotte, this is enough for a civil suit against the Zenith for massive damages. And potentially, criminal charges against Harrison for wire fraud and industrial spying. Our plan was complex, risky, and had to be executed during the engagement party without Harrison realizing he was being targeted. Harrison needs you, Quinn, to solidify his image. Mr. Vance explained. The party is full of high-value investors and his biggest creditors. We need a way to serve him, or at least deliver the evidence to a trusted third party, right under his nose, and link it to the legal action being filed simultaneously. The engagement party was too public for a lawyer to openly serve papers without causing a massive scene that Harrison could easily spin. Mr. Vance proposed sending a discreet legal investigator, disguised as a journalist or a minor partner, to the party. You, Quinn, are the only person who can get close enough without raising suspicion. Mr. Vance concluded, you will carry the ring, but you will also carry the USB. My role was terrifyingly simple. I would locate the legal investigator, who would be introduced to me only by a code word, and during the most crowded, high-tension moment of the ceremony, make the transfer. Harrison demanded my silence and my participation. He was getting both, but the participation was a Trojan horse designed to bring his entire empire crashing down. The next 48 hours were a blur of secrecy and adrenaline as I prepared to play the role of the loyal son one last time. The grand ballroom of the Zenith was a spectacle of excess. Chandeliers dripped light onto a sea of tuxedos and gowns, a testament to the obscene wealth Harrison had built and almost bankrupted. Tonight wasn't just an engagement party for Harrison and Brooke. It was a performance designed to solidify their public image and reassure the worried investors that the Zenith was stable and its leadership was unified. Every face I saw was a high-stakes player in Vegas. This was the audience for Harrison's final grand lie. I, Quinn, stood stiffly near the stage, dressed in an expensive suit that felt like a costume. My heart hammered against my ribs, a chaotic drum beat beneath the smooth jazz coming from the live band. Harrison, looking ridiculously smug in a cream-colored tuxedo, was mingling with his partners. Brooke, radiant and venomous in a sequined gown, glued to his arm. They looked like the perfect power couple, and the hypocrisy burned me. My eyes scanned the room for Mr. Vance's contact, the legal investigator. The code word was a phrase from a classic Vegas movie, and the contact would wear a subtle, specific item. Finally, I spotted him, a man in a discreet gray suit, wearing a vintage Zenith lapel pin, the one Harrison only gave to his oldest friends. He was talking to an older financier near the champagne fountain. The ceremony started with a fanfare that felt utterly theatrical. Harrison and Brooke ascended the stage. The officiant, who was really Harrison's personal PR manager, began a saccharine speech about love enduring corporate hardship and family unity. I was called up last, the final piece of their perfect sick puzzle. I had to look sad but resolved, like the loyal sun coming around. As I walked onto the stage, the small, cold USB drive, the full truth of their conspiracy, was taped securely inside the ring box, hidden beneath the velvet cushion. I kept my gaze fixed on Harrison, ignoring Brooke's condescending smile. When the officiant paused, it was my cue to present the rings. I took a deep breath, trying to slow the tremor in my hand. I opened the box, revealing the ring and, unknowingly to them, the evidence of their downfall. Quinn, do you present this token of eternal commitment to your father and Brooke? The officiant asked. I took the ring out, but instead of handing the box immediately to Harrison, I addressed the crowd, using the only opportunity I had to deliver my message without being cut off. This ring, I began, my voice steady, amplified by the stage mic, is beautiful, but in Vegas, we know the real price of things. This celebration is meant to show loyalty and trust. My mother, Charlotte, built her business, the Oasis, on those values. When trust is broken, not just in marriage but in business, it is a betrayal that can ruin lives. I could see Harrison's smile falter. His eyes narrowed, a clear warning. Brooke shot him a look of panic. My father demanded my presence tonight. I continued, making sure my eyes met the gaze of the investigator in the crowd. He demanded my silence, but I believe in a higher loyalty, loyalty to truth, loyalty to integrity, and loyalty to the person who taught me that building something honest is better than stealing something big. I then turned to the investigator, who had moved closer to the stage, pretending to take a photograph with a large camera. I wish my father all the best of classic Vegas luck, I said clearly, the code phrase. The investigator nodded subtly. As I finally handed the ring box to my father, the movement was precise. I nudged the box against the investigator's camera bag, ensuring the small silver USB drive, dislodged from the cushion, slipped cleanly into the waiting, open pocket of the camera bag. The exchange was over in a millisecond, completely invisible to the crowd, masked by the sheer spectacle of the moment. Harrison immediately steered the conversation away from my speech, his face tight with forced cheer. He had the ring, but I knew I had delivered the true payload. I stepped back, my mission accomplished. The tension was suffocating. The physical silence was deafening. But the corporate storm I had just unleashed was about to break. The silence after the exchange was broken by the sound of Harrison's forced laughter as he kissed Brooke and placed the ring on her finger. But the celebratory sound was hollow. I knew the bomb I had planted was already ticking. The fallout started quickly. The next morning, not a major newspaper, but a niche corporate watchdog blog published a meticulously detailed exposé titled, "The Zenith's Foundation of Fraud. Did Harrison Sterling steal his ex-wife's business secrets?" It cited anonymous sources and damning digital evidence. That afternoon, the legal action commenced. Charlotte's lawyers filed an injunction against the Zenith, freezing a significant portion of their assets and demanding a full accounting review, citing industrial espionage and fiduciary duty breach. Harrison didn't call me. He stormed into the oasis looking like a ruined king. He bypassed security and found me in the hotel's quiet business center. His face was purple with rage. You betrayed me. Quinn, you gave those people my files. You ruined the most important night of my career, he roared, attracting a small crowd of startled guests. I stood up, crossing my arms. I felt a calm, cold resolve I never knew I possessed. You ruined it, Harrison. You just needed someone to expose the truth. You demanded my silence, but you forgot that a clean conscience is more valuable than your dirty money. You lost your future, he spat. NYU is gone. You'll be working at the Oasis flipping burgers because of your morality. I chose integrity. I corrected him. You chose a stolen contract and a pregnant mistress who would betray you the second I offered her more money. Brooke was never loyal to anyone. The last part hit him hard. He knew it was true. His investors were pulling out. His board was demanding answers. The engagement was off, not because of love lost, but because his entire financial structure was collapsing. He wasn't the powerful executive anymore. He was just a desperate, caught thief. I need you to retract your statement, he pleaded, his voice cracking slightly. Tell them you were confused. Tell them I was testing you. I'll double your college fund. Quinn, triple it. No, I said simply. You taught me that you can't excuse people for doing bad things and ruining things for others. I threw his own words back at him. The final, perfect strike. You ruined Mom's life, my childhood, and you tried to buy my future. I'm done. Harrison. He realized then that his manipulation had failed completely. He had nothing left to leverage. He turned and walked out. Not as a powerful man, but as a defeated one. The aftermath wasn't easy. The Oasis was saved from collapse, but Charlotte and I spent the next year working tirelessly to stabilize it, leveraging the public sympathy and the renewed trust of honest partners. I didn't go to NYU right away. Instead, I took a gap year, working alongside Mom, learning the business from the ground up, the right way. It turned out that a degree in integrity was more valuable than a signed check from Harrison Sterling. I found a new strength, a deeper connection with my mother, and a profound respect for the difficult path of choosing justice over comfort. Harrison eventually faced his legal reckoning, a quiet fall from grace buried deep in the financial pages. He had gained a kingdom of lies, and I had helped him lose it all for the sake of one simple, undeniable truth. Ultimately, the stories we tell ourselves about who we are, the people we choose to be loyal to, and the values we fight for are the only things that truly define us. They are the only inheritance that matters. Life doesn't always deliver justice quickly, but it always delivers consequences. The collapse of Harrison Sterling's empire was a brutal reminder that cheating doesn't just destroy marriages, it destroys legacies. Always choose the truth, even when the lie offers you everything you think you want. Thank you for reading my story. If this resonated with you, and if you believe that standing up to manipulation is the only way to build a future, please leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. Like this video and subscribe to the channel to support more stories about finding justice where you least expect it. Your support helps amplify these voices.